So I'm gonna go ahead and make a video right now. This is my other phone that I'm using inside my apartment, but it is severely hacked. It's literally I'm pressing the buttons on there, and it's literally taking like close to 10 seconds for the screen to actually load up. And I know that it's because somebody's hacked into it and they slow down the processor. And they do this to all my phones. They do this to anything I have. They control everything, eavesdropping on everything, and stalking me and harassing me, making everything as difficult as they can, so I can't be fully functional operating electronic devices when it comes to my phone and laptop, because those are the only two things that I own, and always a phone. But I wanted to make this video because to show evidence about what they're doing. So even right now, as I'm making this video, it's literally freezing and glitching all across. This phone has never been used. This is my phone I always use. The phone I'm actually recording right has no saved data on there at all, and it should not be doing that. It should not be doing what they're hacking into it right now. It's literally they're just toying with it. But I wanted to make a video that this is how serious it is. They already know what this video is going to be about, okay? And as you can see, and they already have been spying on me and everything that's kind of going on right now. Well, recently I found out, yesterday my mother got into a car wreck, and my uncle told me this when I called him yesterday, and he said that my mother got into a small minor car wreck. And I said, "Oh, is she okay? Is she fine?" He goes, "Yeah, she's fine." And he's, "All right, man. All right, there you go. I gotta go." And so that was pretty much it. So obviously, I'm being tracked down. They're using recording devices. They're hitting cameras, hacking to all my accounts. So since they already know this, and they know that I'm going to make a video on it, they know that it's very likely the topic of the video I'm going to make on. So that's why it's so serious of a situation that if cancer or a disease or tragedy ever strikes, I'm never going to believe any of this, and it's only going to end up getting worse because of what these people are doing. These people are murderers. These people are real life sufferers who like to enjoy making me suffer in any kind of way that they can. I don't know who's entirely responsible for this, as I've been chasing this down for over 10 years. But I want to put on camera when I call my mother for the first time. She said that my mother got a car. My uncle told me yesterday that she got into a car wreck about 2 or 3 days ago. So it's been about 4 days now that my mother's got into a car wreck. I am very terrified to call her. When I walk outside and smoke a cigarette, there are people all circling around the fucking building in the perimeter, harassing me, and they're only there to bother me and harass me and threaten me, and they're using the information that they have about this car wreck or about my mother to then threaten my life and threaten my mother's well-being of who's controlled. They just had this fat ass piece of shit that's been harassing me standing out there, what looks like to be a tombstone. And they know that they're making a mockery of this, of my mother's death. My mother didn't die, obviously but I want to make this video because I know that whoever is imposing this, I don't know who's imposing this, but my mother did not get into a car wreck. My mother can't drive. She cannot drive a car. If my mother was perfectly fine and perfectly mobile, she would have already talked to me in person and they would have arranged something. But what has happened now, since my mother's identical twin is now taking ownership of her and her money and everything that's going on, and the lawyers that have sponsored my mother's twin to steal everything that I have ever credited to my mother, there's nothing that I can do. I don't know who's sponsoring. I don't know who's giving these people all the money in the world to hire lawyers and to make up lies and using professional psychologists against me to have it go exactly the way that they want. They have declared me an enemy of my mother, and this is exactly what they're doing by using my mother's identical twin against me. Now I'm going to call my mother's identical twin, and it's not going to be my mother. and she's going to pick up the phone and she's going to try to pretend that I'm her son. And she already knows this. Now, this is the picture of my real mother. This is my mother, not her identical twin. But I think it's important for me to make a video on this about my mother, because she's going to pick up and she's going to try to play herself as my mother. But I'm going to try to just call to make sure she's okay, what happened. But I know that this is already a lie. My mother cannot drive a car. She can't drive a car. She could barely walk whenever I saw her at the restaurant, and she did not mentally look any way that she could be driving in any kind of form of the way. So what these psychologists and lawyers are doing is they're persecuting everything against me in order to make sure they can persecute my mother and scavenge for the dead remains of my mother, or whatever her life was. For the homosexuals, they know that Marco and Julian are gay, and that's their gay team, and they more likely went after Frankie as well. So they're doing this because of all the rapes and everything that Ken and Sarah Cooper knew about it. So they're justifying that they never got sent to prison, never pressed charges, never told my mother and father, and now my mother's in a mental debilitating state. And the police department is now out to get me and all these homosexuals. These gay community members have tracked me down in every way that you can imagine. They just shot me underneath my left kneecap. But I want to make sure that I put this on video to show how serious this is, right? You never know what can happen. To my understanding, twins, identical twins, they never die. One dies like 10 years after the other one dies. It's unknown why. So if there's any ever health problems, strokes, that's guarantee that, one follows right after the other, and also triplets. So they usually die within a very close radius. I know that for sure. But I know that my mother can't drive. There's not a doubt. I talked to her. I know that she can't. She's not in any good mental state. Now, these people are making, I don't know who told my uncle to tell me this, but I believe they're telling my uncle what to tell me. And I don't know who's involved in this, but I know that she can't drive. But they told me that she got into a car wreck. If there was a car wreck, it was my mother's twin. It was my mother's identical twin. But I know that that's not the case. She's a fairly pretty good driver. And she's called me the last 2 or 3 times in the last 7 days. But I'm not able to pick up because I'm being threatened at the grocery store. I'm being threatened here at the premises of my apartment, on the bus, and it's getting worse. I mean, I can't express how bad it really is, but they're always doing it. But they're making sure they're targeting more directly at my mother. When I was at the grocery store waiting on the corner at this building, where everyone has to wait to get on the bus, I'm there by myself. There's someone that walks by, transgender, with two kids, and they're identical twins. As they walk by me, the lady yells toward my direction, telling the kids, saying, "Watch out, be careful with that." Telling me that I'm an enemy and playing the role playing of my mother. Now, they also sent somebody that's trying to pose themselves as an old lady like Sarah Cooper and do a forgiveness story for Sarah Cooper, and this is a bunch of bullshit. They are persecuting my mother, and they're threatening my life. They're threatening my well-being in any mental state that you can ever imagine. I can't talk enough to express the pain of what these people are putting me through and what they're doing to me in this apartment, beating me with electronic devices and making me shit on command and beating me. And there's no logical information of what they're doing to me other than to sacrifice me, make me suffer, and throw me to the crucifix for the killing that they want to do. Every time that they're making me suffer and trying to practice mortality inside my apartment by doing very sophisticated things to my body, like as I'm laying in bed, like just a couple of days ago. Look, before I rabbit trail my conversation and telling, they're shooting me right now with electronic devices. I just felt them shoot between my thighs and my crotch. 2 days ago, I think it was yesterday, early in the day, they used some sort of electronic device. I don't know what it is, but they turn it on and it makes you throw up. It makes you feel like you're getting nauseous. It makes you feel like you're nauseous and you're sick. And I swear to you, it wasn't the food. It wasn't the food. I immediately felt like I just started getting really nauseous and I have to throw up. So I have to run and start gagging, like trying to throw up, but nothing's coming up, and I'm just like gagging vomit. I mean, saliva. This was yesterday, okay? 3 days ago. No, was it 3 or 4 days ago? I opened up the fridge, and I've been making beans, and someone broke into my apartment and put fake beans in there, and I couldn't remember if I put them in a Tupperware, and I know that I didn't because I knew that I finished everything. And someone put some beans in there and went in their apartment and cooked whatever lentils or beans. They made their own recipe and they tried poisoning me. And I ate some of the food, not sure and I know what I didn't. And I swear to God, this is what they did. And so I decided to go ahead and eat. And I'm like, well, maybe and I taste it, and it doesn't taste the same. It tastes like something else. It doesn't taste the beans that I made. As soon as I eat the meal, within 5 minutes, my stomach starts hurting, and it was just a very small portion that was left. So someone broke into the apartment and is trying to poison me, and is doing this. So I wanted to make this video. This is very serious. I don't know who's responsible for doing this. But I'm about to call my mom. They're trying to practice his death. They said someone got in her way, and she got into a car wreck. Now, I was laying in this bed, and the torturing things that they're doing to me is I was laying in bed to take a nap, and then they'll shoot my crotch when I'm laying in bed like this, so that I have to get up because they start shooting my testicles because they know that I had a benign tumor, non-cancerous, that I had checked. So they know that if they electrocute my testicles, is a reference point for them to be able to say, you're going to die of cancer, you're going to get cancer, and that's where the mental state where they want to put me. So they start shooting my testicle. Remember, this is a tragedy that happened with my mother. Then immediately, they start shooting me. I can't remember what it was on my physical body. There was something else they were shooting me with. And then they shoot like something's hitting, like somebody's throwing a little piece of rock on the ground, and it's a laser beam. It's a frequency that they shoot. It's a gun, and it sounds like somebody's hitting. It's a frequency amount of whatever frequency it is shoots against the wall, and it makes it sounds like an impact. It sounds like somebody's throwing a rock. They immediately do this right over to the crucifix, saying, yeah, I see, you're going to shoot your crotch, yeah, and then you're going to die right there, see? And so they're just making me suffer. This has no rational sense to say we're trying to fix me or trying to help me or trying to do anything. This is just to make me suffer and practice the mortality of my death for their murder. Look, they just did it again. I don't know if you just heard this with the camera. I don't know if you just heard this with the camera. They just did it again. It's an electronic device that they're shooting, and they're shooting it into the room. So I want to make this video. They just poisoned me. Someone came into the apartment and poisoned me, and my stomach started hurting, and it didn't taste it. Someone's coming in here, and this is why I talk about how dangerous and what these people are doing, trying to justify what they're doing. Look, you can hear right now the knocks or what these people are fucking doing. They're shooting something. They're shooting something right now, and I talked about being poisoned. This is the refrigerator they're shooting right now. I can hear it shooting against the walls and whatnot. Recognize that crucifix? Well, what they're trying to do is saying, look, Diana can go ahead and rape Frankie and poison the shit out of me and my mother. We have the Jesus Christ to get away with it. No, we could do what we want. Remember the Jesus Christ. No, we could do what we want. Remember the Jesus Christ. And they just keep doing this. And in order for me to stay submissive, in order to what they're trying to do to me, that's why they beat the fuck out of me with these electronic devices. They're not helping me. They're not giving me easy, high-paying jobs. They're not allowing me to stay comfortable at the jobs. They're not allowing me to find places to live. This has no rational sense. This has absolutely no rational sense just to make me suffer. because I'm listening to what they're trying to do and how they're trying to train me and beat me to do things, and it has no sense at all. It's just, I want to control you like a dog, like a worthless animal. You're a worthless piece of life, and I can control you, and I want to control you like a mannequin, like a dummy they put clothes on and shit. And when you walk by the windows and you go you go clothing shopping, like that. Like they don't see any value of my life other than to make it suffer. That's what they're fucking doing to me. You have no idea the level of torture of what's going on in my life. They know that cancer is a topic. They're planning my homicide. When I say homicide, they're just going to wait until I develop cancer. They know I'm not going to stop smoking. The stress that they're causing and things that they're doing to me, they just shot me in my rear end. And they just play these sick, crazy fucking games. They know I'm about to call my mother, and they're calling my mother, not my mother, my mother's twin, identical twin. Remember, they don't allow me to speak to my mother. It's my mother's identical twin. They're calling her right now, and they're telling her exactly what to say. And she's going to get on the phone, and they're going to be exactly telling her what to do prior or even live on the phone. And I know they're doing this right now because every time she calls me, and the few times that she's been calling me the last 6 months, it's been happening for several years now, but it's been very, very narrowed down to a precise moment. And they're telling her, okay, call Hector right now. Okay, call him and say this right now. Okay, now call this right now. And they're doing this. Now, my mother got ran over by a 4,000 to 5,000 pound forklift. Being raped, I protected her. That was me. Identifying for, you got raped by 10 homosexual fucking men. And the police department doesn't want to help me. And they're beating the fuck out of me in this apartment. And I want to make a phone call. And you're going to hear if she picks up the phone. Now, they may tell her right now, don't pick up the phone. But I'm being threatened at the grocery store. Okay? Remember that. Just yesterday. I also want to bring them another incident that happened at the grocery store. I bother nobody, talk to nobody. I avoid everything. Get out of people's ways in every way. They're literally circling around like fucking hyenas. When I'm at the grocery store and I first get there and I turn down the aisle, there's a guy that charges at me and like to say that he's in control and you better do what I tell you to do, and we better do what we all tell you to do. Now, they already know about this car wreck. They already know about everything that's going on and the people they're telling us. They already know about when I was done grocery shopping and I was standing on the corner, that there was two twins walking by from a distance, and the lady screamed at me and says, yeah, be careful, girls, get away from that. It said some shit like that. She said, be careful. He goes, yeah, be careful with that. And like yelling at me. And I don't even know who these people are. I've ever seen these kids. And they're threatening me this way. Now I'm going to call my mother. I'm sorry, not my mother. It's not my mother. It's her twin. They do not let me communicate with my mother. It's her twin posing as her. So I'm going to call her and see how she's doing. With the car wreck, it's all being planned and trained. They may not tell her to pick up the phone. It's very likely, yeah, they're not going to tell her to pick up the phone.
Hello?
Hello?
¿Cómo estás, mijo?
¿Qué pasó?
No, nomás, ¿cómo estás? ¿Todo?
What do you mean? What do you mean? ¿Cómo estás?
How are you?
¿Por qué me llamaste? Why did you call me?
Para saber cómo estás, es todo.
¿Nada pasó?
No pasó nada. ¿Te molestas?
No, who called? Well, why did you call me?
Oh, ¿sabes qué? Tú me mandaste un papel. Sí, tú me mandaste un papel, ahí está en tu ¿cómo se dice? En tu Facebook. ¿Quieres que te lo mande para atrás?
See, it's very calculated. Oh yeah, did you get into a car wreck? Beto called me that you got into a car wreck.
Oh, sí, pero ya fix it now. Yeah, es poquito, muy poquito. It's not much. El carro camina. Sí, pero everything okay, esté bien. Sí.
I know, I'm not crazy.
¿Y dónde estás? ¿En tu casa?
Yeah, I'm in my apartment right now. Yo tengo mucha gente que me está amenazando. Ya nunca me llamas otra vez. Yo te voy a llamar, ¿ok?
Okay, mijo.
Do you okay? Do you no? You don't love me. Don't say that shit. Mi mamá loves me. Tú no es mi mamá. ¿Me entiendes? Él está mi. Oh, él está mi. See, look. She plays this very harassing thing by saying, "Oh, I love," and she's disgustingly, viciously been doing this for a long time. This is very, very calculated, very nasty to me. Like I'm nothing worth but a worthless life to the dumpster. I've been asking and requesting from my mother's twin to talk to Frankie and Jillian for over 10 years. So they're telling her exactly what to say. That was not my mother, that's her twin. So what they do is they try to get her to do is they start telling her to say, just keep saying I love you and I care for you, and it's bullshit. This is it's like somebody that's punching you or stabbing you and spitting at you and then telling you they love you. And I don't want any part of this. I'm being threatened at the grocery store. I can't even express how many times and how they're working in teams. And the police doesn't want to do anything. They're not going to do anything. The team of people that are doing this have the ability to break inside my refrigerator and put poison in the food that I'm making to retaliate and try to mentally condition me. And I don't know who's responsible for doing this. I remember tasting the food that was just a little bit left. Just a little bit to the fucking amount, and it didn't taste right. It didn't taste good at all. And it tasted like somebody did something to it. And it was just a very small amount. So I want to make a video on this. They can come and break my apartment and put poison in it. And they're tapping my phone and then telling my mother to say this and this and this and this. It's not my mother. It's my mother's identical twin. So you got to understand. See, I just felt them shoot me in my eyeball. So every time that everything that they're doing is they're conditioning me by physical abuse and how it's a reference point to their Jesus Christ cross. That I'm not obeying them. I'm not obeying their God. And if you don't obey my God, I'm going to punish you until you don't go to the afterlife, to any heaven or anything, because you didn't listen to Jesus. And so I live my life like that the entire time, because they just beat the fuck out of me with these electronic devices. Now, a reference point that I tell you about, how they shot my eyeball. Well, when I was laying in the bed, they shoot my eyeball, like the whole eyeball of this, and then they shoot the crucifix. So they make it I told you what the fuck's going to happen, who Jesus is. And they'll shoot my eyeball, so I always understand it because it hurts. And they said, no, I told you who your fucking God is and Jesus is. You obey Jesus, what I told you to fucking do. And it's an impact. It's like someone telling you, do what the fuck I tell you to do. So now that I'm talking and I'm telling you someone poisoned me, they'll quickly shoot something into my eye, like I told you, how I trained you. You see how now if I remove this crucifix and didn't have any of this, they go to the grocery store and they start threatening me, acting all fucking crazy. They get on the bus and they start doing all this kinds of crazy shit. They start sending this guy that was suicidal, that's like 70 years old, ready to kill himself for the sickness of Sarah and Ken Cooper, who was older. And I was nice enough to give this motherfucker a card. And the person was harassing me to tell me to go over there. And out of fear, I just go over there just to give this person a nice greeting card. And it's nasty even when I'm talking to this person. And they're fucking white. And they put a Mexican little girl saying that my dead sister belongs to him. And they play these very sick fucking games. This guy had missing limbs. He had a missing leg. And he's trying to make the mockery of my mother being ran over by a forklift. He handled it for Ken Cooper. And then they all come in here. The landlord and maintenance man, they all start threatening me about this when they come into my apartment. So I want to make this video. Like I said, I don't know who's responsible for this. This is not my mother. That's her sister. And they're shooting the fuck out of me. I just felt them shoot me again. They're harassing me. They're threatening me. They're doing this at the grocery store. And they're viciously retaliating against me. I don't know who's responsible for this. But my life is not going to be wasted by some rancid bitch that's willing to go ahead and retaliate against me in a vengeful personal note. What belongs to my father and that dead little girl does not belong to that fucking lady. and only belongs to my mother and my immediate family. And she's trying to make this about herself because they know that is a very close attachment to my fucking mother. She did not show up into the picture until I was somewhere around 18 to 20 years old, and I never knew my mother had an identical twin until I was about 30, 36, 37 years. I'd say about 37 to 38 years old. This is almost 20 years. So I want to make this video. I don't know who's tapping my phone. It's also very, very technical. I don't know if they're using like some sort of digital recording device over the phone and recording my mother's words and sounds. And then when I speak and make a question or say something, they immediately hit a response to what I'm saying over the phone, and it's not really so much of my mother's twin. But I want to make this video. I'm being threatened even as I walked outside. This fat ass piece of shit is standing by the tombstones like doing a funeral process. And I don't want to play any part of this. They know my mother just got into a car wreck. And so there's a reason my uncle is saying it. And let me tell you why they told me a fake lie about my mother getting into a car wreck. She can't drive. I know that she can't. They said that she got into a car wreck, and this is what they want to justify. Robert Zarate and Edward Rangel got hit by a car at 70 miles an hour. The car was going somewhere around like 60 to 70 miles an hour on a highway. This is a brother to mine. Got hit by a car. He flipped up in the air, doing all sorts of somersaults, several times landing on his back with his eyes open, and was flat dead, killed instantly. Spinal cord was broken in like 7 or 8 different places. Ribs were all broken. And I wanted to make a video on this because Edward got stuck underneath the car after immediately getting hit by the car, and Edward was stuck underneath the car, and it dragged him for a quarter of a mile. It was a horrific car wreck. Now, Edward Rangel is identical twin. He's an identical twin. Now, I was 18 years, late 18 years old, couple of weeks before I turned 19 when Robert Zarate died. And I talked about the stories of my mother and Robert Sr. Zarate. Well, my mom's identical twin showed up putting on a show standing in front of Robert Zarate's casket and looking at, taunting the situation. She didn't say hello to me. She don't know who the fuck this person wanted to retaliate. I don't know what the situation is that you can walk by a kid's fucking funeral casket about a kid being killed and knowing that this person was being very disgusting and nasty to me. So what they do is they tell my uncle to make up a lie. Start lying and we'll make up a lie. You got into a car wreck or whatever, all this other shit. So I called. Remember, I care about who lives and dies. Oh, but if I don't call, I wasn't Jesus Christ though. And so they beat me with their reference point. That's all they're fucking doing. Physically. But when I'm calling my mother to say, it's because they're trying to psychologically be abrasive and wash away the incident that happened at the funeral home. Because he was very young when he was killed. Robert Zarate and Senior Zarate had nothing good to say about my mother, and I always felt it was as honest as I could. And they didn't understand why I was being thrown to the streets. They didn't understand why. I was like, man, your mom's not helping you. Turns out it was my mom's fucking identical twin. So now that these motherfuckers that are telling her what to do and what to say, they're directly using her as a weapon for the mortality of Robert Zarate and Sr. to have a good laugh about it. Because remember, Sarah Cooper laughed out loud. Now, my mother's twin wasn't laughing, but there were several people that were looking at her like, what are you doing? And like there was probably like 200 people inside the funeral service sitting down, and there was a huge line of other students that were all walking to take a walk by the casket in the picture. But I wanted to make this video. They're telling her what to do now. They're taunting me about that now because we can get away and steal whatever we want now. And I want to make this video because this is what they're doing to me. I don't know in any which way that you can keep somebody incarcerated by using electronic devices and using the perimeter and using the entire society as teams to come after me and threaten my life and threaten my well-being and about my biological mother. They do not represent my biological mother. They are not my biological mother. Have no right to be doing this. My mother did not request this piece of shit downstairs. The ladies that were walking, the transgenders that are attacking me, and the homosexual that charged at me at Walmart to say, we want you to represent Celestina after being ran over by a forklift and help Ken Cooper because Ken Cooper's her hero. I swear to God, they're doing this to me at the fucking grocery store and they're looking for a fight. And they're only doing this in teams. I'm walking up and down. The minute I walk into that goddamn grocery store, there's nothing but fucking transgenders. Every goddamn fucking place. The fucking workers, they're homosexuals. That's all that's fucking there. And they're all with customers, all teaming up against every single fucking person there. And they tell certain these faggots to come and charge at me and attack me and then persecute me. I want to make this video because I don't take this very lightly, the fact that what these people are doing. They did not identify anything of these things that were going on. They know they did wrong. The lawyers and the psychologists are the ones that fucked up and did this wrong. And now they want to justify it because they want to scavenge up the dead remains of what they did to my father and what I had done for him. So they send their faggots to rearrange the story, and that's what they're doing. They don't want me to be a part of my mother's life in any way, in any form. If I hadn't spoken to my mother in 20 years, but once in person, when I'm getting ready to go to see if I have cancer, you don't care about my goddamn life. And you just want me to suffer. But my biological mother is not in a mental state to be able to make decisions, healthy ones. She's being severely abused, severely mentally abused. And it's these psychologists and these faggot transgender motherfuckers that are all singing them at the grocery stores nonstop. I can't pick up the fucking phone every fucking minute of every day. They're just constantly doing this and then saying that I'm crazy because I'm just picking at this, what bad is happening around me. That's a lie. They're very aggressive to trying to deliver their message to me and what they're trying to fucking do. Why occasionally shooting me with the electronic devices inside the goddamn fucking bus? Like I said, they already know what's going to happen. They're recording me. Besides them watching the videos, that when I get to Dallas, I'm just going to throw everything away. So I don't have my shit there. I don't have, she got a smaller apartment. She doesn't really want my stuff there. So I'm going to I don't have any clothes. I won't have anything. They already know this. 2 days ago, I go and take the test early in the morning for GED Language Arts, as I referenced earlier. When I get there, they put all these boxes and bags like it's making a mockery of the things I have at my mother's house. And there's this guy that's behaving like Ken Cooper, this disgusting looking transgender, that is kneeling over like this, like over Marissa's dead body and saying, "You ready?" and says this to me. Like, you're ready for us to get rid of your fucking life? We don't feel anything here. This is the transgender at the GED Center that's doing this. These are faggots that are fucking doing this. These are the worst of the fucking guttering fucking worst of human beings that are going after my throat. They're going at the worst. These are the worst, demented, mentally dark individuals that mentally want to target me in this information. They have nothing good to share or do around me. And I'm pretending that I'm just here very quickly and get out of their way. But anytime they get a second, they're trying, because they know that I'm trying to get away from them. So I want to make this video. They already know this, and they're making a threat against over at the GED Center. So I want to make this video because every detail they're threatening me about. They have their people standing outside. I'm not kidding you. All throughout these places and these doors, these apartments, They all know who I am, where I'm going, what to do, and somebody's dispatching them. They already had this play how we're going to bury the dead little body or my dad's mother body, and they had this guy that, was a fat ass piece of shit that's just standing out there, and they're just using any reference points. That's all they're fucking doing. But I want to make a video because I don't know what the outcome is. I already know when I get on the plane, when I get on the bus, it's going to be full-blown threats because they want to make sure that my mother's identical twin is going to have even more power over me. And if you don't do what I'll tell you to do, I'll set up another murder attempt. Now, they're going to be insinuating that when I get on the plane, when I get off the plane, when I get on the bus, when I get on the taxi, local buses, and I just felt them shoot me in my chest. And they're just toying with me. They already know they're going to set up a murder attempt, and they're going to set up the violent acts. They're going to set it up again. They know how to set it up to tell you, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we can do it because the police isn't going to help you. They use it, you better do what we tell you to do, otherwise you know what's going to happen. So I want to make this video because this is what they're doing. I just heard this guy downstairs, and someone downstairs hit the wall or something. But I want to make a video and say this, and you can see how they use the reference points. It feels like a shock, like a vibration that they shoot the physical body, my sort of chest, sternum, bones cavity, like a vibration they're shooting. And they make sure that it's coming from this area, so then it shoots at me like that, and then they're playing make-believe God by using that. I can kill whoever I want, and I'm going to literally hit you with that crucifix. Like using electronic devices because you don't want to obey the God we told you to fucking worship. And who's going to be the trash can. We can do and harm you any way we can because we know God and we do this. And I'm not the one that's pointing the fingers and doing all this shit in reference, but it's them that's doing it. And they're physically beating me to it. But I want to make a video that I think is very important, like I said, about what's happening. This isn't any kind of joking matter. They already know that it's very likely that I'm going to not be talking to my mother, or it's just going to be too dangerous. My mother, and that's not my mother, it's my mother's identical twin. We're going to call her, I think she said, sometimes she writes her name as Orpinel. Orpinel Melendez is my mother's name. My mother's identical twin's name. My mother's identical twin, Orpinel, this person, about a month and a half ago, made a threat over to me over the phone, and got on the phone. And she says, "Okay, mira, no me lo traes para acá," and that means, okay, don't let him come over here. So she's now making the threats of what these people are telling her to do, to have her voice and her actions do it, to say, you're going to do what I tell you to do, or I'm going to punish you. Now, I'm not going to go to a cancer research center in any kind of way to have this bitch show up to do the fact that she's taken. The only reason I feel empathy for this person, my mother's identical twin, is because she's not very formally mentally educated, and she doesn't have any idea the reality of what these people are doing because they're not explaining this to her. Because remember, they want to protect her this way. But when my mother was being raped, and I could tell you every story, I was there, and then they cut me out of the picture. That's why they're having all their faggots threaten me at the grocery store and do this. I swear to God, this is every fucking time I go to the grocery store. I'm fucking walking like an old lady when I'm walking and pushing a cart. And that's all they're fucking doing to me. They're not doing anything else to me. They know and believe that I am not confining to their Jesus or to their personal beliefs. And they're using this as a murder weapon. They're using this to make me suffer, claiming that they're of God's eyes and I'm not, until it is approved by them. And they're using very dark, twisted psychology, very sickening psychology. You have no idea of some of the things that I have yet to explain about the electronic devices on a day-to-day basis of what they're doing to me. I just called, look, this is another reference point. I called Tony Miranda. I don't know this guy. This guy went to prison, okay? And I know he did because I had a friend of mine. He went to prison for like a year or two. This motherfucker has a job. I know several people that went to prison. They're all making $60,000 a year and have fucking jobs, and they're not going homeless on the fucking streets. But anyway, I really don't even know this guy, and there wasn't a good reference. There wasn't a good experience when all that great, but it was quick conversation. I talked to this guy many years ago at Yucatan Liquid Stand when I was DJing, and I wasn't DJing that night. Eric knows him. And he said I knew he had gone to prison. I said something about gay, and this guy put his foot on my stool like, "Oh, you don't think us gays could do anything?" He looks at me all crazy like he was insulted, and I was just trying to brush it off, drinking my beer, trying to change the story, not understanding what the fuck was going on. Now he remembers this. I call him last week or a week and a half ago about looking for a car where he works at 4th Lane, and to see car prices, because he was friends a little bit with Eric and he knows who he is. But when I call him, immediately some piece of shit guy claims his name was James, sounds very threatening over the phone. So yeah, this is James, and he's to threaten me. They're transferring my phone calls. So as soon as he transfers my phone calls, he picks up the phone and gets transferred to him to make sure he implies his threat, right? His enforcement. He says, "Hold on 1 second," and then he transfers me the phone call to this person, Tony Miranda. As soon as I pick up the phone, I talk to him. Entirely doesn't even. He's paranoid. I don't even know if it's actually him. It could be an impersonator. I don't even know if it's actually him. And he begins to talk about, "Don't worry about my dead sister." Because remember I told you my sister's name Miranda or Marissa? I don't know if this guy, but they're trying to go ahead and do that. Remember Tony Miranda? Oh, and he tells me, "Don't worry about her dead body. It's ours." He goes, "Oh, it's ours. Oh, it's," and he goes, "Oh, but over here, and he starts talking like prison life. This guy went to prison, and I'm the one that's nearly digging in trash cans, being attacked, and did all this other shit. Now, there's a list. I'm not trying to persecute people that necessarily went to prison, but like I said, and everything that's going on, that's what they're doing. They're torturing the shit out of me. I could tell you stories of people that I know who've gone to prison making $60,000 a year at Standard Register, and they were my boss. I'm not kidding. They were making $60,000 a year, and they were cooking methamphetamines in a fucking microwave. And they had several arrests, and they got sent to prison, for 3 or 4 years. I'm not kidding. It was just real life. This individual went to fucking prison and making $60,000 a year at Standard Register. He was a boss, and they wouldn't ever give me an opportunity. They wouldn't let me work. I could tell you other stories of people that I knew of this, and these because they were all gay and they're homosexuals. This is a real story. They're all homosexual and faggots, and this is why. Anyway, that's a whole different story, but I wanted to make sure and make this video that this is what they're doing to me. I don't know. I don't like the fact that I want to talk to my mother. I want to talk to my biological mother only. I do not want to talk to this person posing as my fucking mother. This person has been doing this for 20 years, and I know who my mother is and how the person that she was, and she'll always be when I was younger. But I know that they're using this person as a reference murder and death threat and processing the preparation of death and my mortality of cancer, who you're going to have in the hospital, and we get rid of your worthless life. And they're going to use that. Just like the Marine that goes into Iraq, blowing people's heads off, and he thinks of a crucifix. That's exactly the mentality that these people want to do to me. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in a goddamn fucking thing. And a lot of people don't. But this is just to use me, to scold me into the afterlife that they're guaranteed a spot and I'm not. And I'm not worshiping their God the way I'm supposed to worship their God, and they don't even do that as well. It's just to commit the death, and it's to commit the suffering. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm literally sitting down on my fucking bed all fucking day playing app games. And I know you're probably thinking jacking off. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm literally reading a book. You can see how they're shooting, and I almost kind of felt like I needed to say something, and I stalled. That's an electronic device that's doing that. And I know that sounds fucking crazy, but that's exactly how they want to control me, and that's what they want to say. They're training me to make me say the things that they want me directly wanting to say and believe. And it's not the truth, and it's not what's going on, and it's because they want to get away with all the rapes and their faggot Miguel and Diana, because Diana's the one that poisoned me and my mother together. So I want to make this video. I don't know who the fuck is doing this, but the police department is not to be trusted. I'm gonna go on the run for my life. I don't give a shit. I'm fucking old. I'm gonna try to find hope. I'm gonna try to look another place for hope. But she's already making threats at me. My mom's identical twin is using the impersonation over my mother to make threats at me and to say that she's in control because of the people that are threatening me and telling her what to do because they're paying her money and giving her shit. So that's what they're doing. And that's why she got on the phone. She said, okay, no me lo mandas para acá. And she's saying, no, I tell you where you're going to live, or you're going to, because they know they want me to direct it at someone that's not my mother, but looks exactly like my mother, to then re-identify my biological mother. So they're abusing the identical twins chemistry of how identical twins function, entirely retaliating against me. So I want to make this video. I just felt them shoot me violently under my chin, under my jawline. But hopefully this video is going to reach Michaela. Please, Michaela, please be very careful. She was calling you. I swear to fucking God, she was saying this over the phone. And I said, do you know who Michaela is? And she said, I don't give a damn about that fucking worthless bitch. Ese pinche puta. A mí no me importa ese pinche puta. And she's saying this over the phone. She's saying this because she wants to retaliate against you. She's not going to work against you. She will retaliate against you because she knows I want to connect with my sister and not her. She knows she wants control over my mother in the abuse situation. They don't want me connecting with Michaela and it be loving and caring because she wants ownership, just like she wants ownership over my mother and the money and my dad's dead body and Robert's dead body. And the psychologists are telling her to do it. But she takes responsibility because you make those actions. Just because if I ever have to pull up a knife and I have to start stabbing somebody half to death, I'm making that choice knowing I'm going to end up in prison, even if that person pulled a knife on me first and started swinging. Even if I was trying to defend my life and they stabbed me a bunch of times and I pulled the knife away from them and I stabbed them and I murdered them, I'm making that decision instead of running to stab them and for a murder and go to prison and then figure out what the court system is going to do to me because they don't give a damn about human life, especially mine. They're going to make sure I die there. And that's the number one goal is what they want. Die in there or die out here, but there's no peace, there's no comfort, no nothing. But that's a decision that this person is making. They're intelligent enough to drive a car. They're intelligent enough to do a lot of things, and they understand. They understand this is not my biological mother. This is not my biological. This bitch has been doing this long enough to me. And they're preparing me for the death because they think I'm going to have this motherfucker there. And I hate to be talking about someone that looks exactly like my mother and it happened to be my direct aunt, which is my mother's biological twin. But this is not right. And I don't care what circumstances, you still shouldn't be talking nasty to me. This person doesn't give a shit. They're using the threats because these people out here, they're the ones that are threatening me. They're out here and they're threatening me. They're acting fucking crazy at the grocery stores, on the buses. Every fucking day, years on end. They're recording me and they're doing this. And I don't give them permission. I want to talk to my mother. Now I feel them again. They're shooting me violently on underneath my jawline. They're shooting me underneath my jawline right now. The entire jawline feels like the bone, and it's a frequency. It's a machine. It's a frequency that shoots in, and it impacts. It hurts the physical tissue. But I want to make this video because I think it's important how they're tormenting me and making me suffer. This is only to prepare me into the afterlife, to make sure I go with Satan and not with their Jesus God bullshit. They have a make-believe God. When I don't believe in their fucking God, they make me suffer and they take away money. They take away privileges. They take away a lot of things away from me, and they send their fucking faggots to come attack me. That's all they're fucking doing. I know I can take care of myself. I know that I can be very ambitious. I know that I'm a very loving person. These people don't give a goddamn fuck. They just want to clean up for the fucking faggots and this white supremacist for Ken Cooper and Sarah Cooper and Kenneth. And all the rapes that happened with Frankie, because this transgender piece of shit poisoned me with my mother and Miguel. And now because the time went on, oh, okay, it's time for faggot. And they're all doing this. All of them are. They're on this ride to protect this piece of shit. You would have spent 30 fucking years in prison for raping the shit and punching a fucking little kid and then keeping him in prison for the next 6 or 7 years as other people then started to rape his fucking ass. But that transgender motherfucker is right over there, living in a 3-bedroom house, and Barack Obama is charging me and Albertsons because he wants to feel sorry for transgender movement because he has a transgender daughter in the White House. Oh, because it's transgender disability though, huh? I'd rather not be causing problems with my mother's identical twin and it be continuing to be nasty like this because she has been doing this for 15 years, 20 years. It has only gotten the worst of it when the last probably 4 years. And it's because I never knew that this was my mother's twin, not my mother's identical twin, not my actual mother. They're abusing my mother. They don't want her to know that she was being raped. And I wouldn't trust any of her family members. I can tell you this right now. I know my mother, and they're trying to give the powers to other family members, but I cannot do anything, and I know they can't be trusted 100,000%. 100,000%. And I can't go into details which ones and how and what details, but I can't do anything about it because the psychologist or whoever it is, the power of attorney over my mother, they're the ones that are giving them the power to get away with what they want because it's their personal choice. They don't have the best interest. They're going to keep lying and keep doing this. They want to do this because I'm the only straight kid and they got their faggots. Julian and his twin are gay. And so is Marco. Marco came out as gay. He's faggot too. That's why you have your faggots all surrounding me because you want to make sure the faggot clan has their fucking power over my biological fucking mother. And I'm the only straight kid she has. Oh, Frankie got raped? Are you going to go tell Frankie to goon in on this faggot clan too? Because it benefits your fucking faggot clan though, huh? And then it makes me look bad saying, oh, look what Hector's doing. Look at hate shit. No, this is what they're fucking doing.